Hey everyone, and welcome back to Tiny Glade. Today with a pretty different build. We are going to build an Italian villa. I gotta say though that I plan to do something different, but more about that in a later part of this build. So, over the last couple days, this game really captivated me, and it's been a while, actually not that long, because Inzoi was actually the last game that kind of captivated me, but as I can't play this anymore, there is a new game that needs to be in here, and well, this is definitely, and relatively surprising, I should say, Tiny Glade, because just as I figured that, you know, there's only so much you can do with the game, I was checking out YouTube, and I may quickly say that the main reason for that is actually the Glade designer. She messaged me that she was also enjoying this game so much, and you know, we were having a chat about that, and I, stupid as I am, was saying like, oh yeah, but you know, there's just so much you can do with this game. It's like a very nice doodle game, but you know, it's just like cozy, and it's not like you look left and right and there's like tons of stuff to do, but oh boy, was I wrong. So over the last couple days, I have seen builds of other people that have really blown away me. Like, those builds were insane to a point that I didn't even recognize this game anymore, and for like 50% of the stuff I was like, okay, well, I have no idea how that is done. So that brought me to a point where I was starting to experiment myself, and unfortunately I didn't find anything in particular that no one else had found so far. I'm not sure if it's just like I didn't find, or if people have already found almost every exploit, which to be honest at this point may actually be impossible, because you know, there's always a new exploit to find, and I'm not Let's Game It Out or another crazy person, but what I did is I figured out another style that I wanted to go for. So initially, and this is what the beginning of this video was kind of a leftover of, is I wanted to do something that looked like a very modern house. You know, my approach was like something very cool, like with a pool in the middle and having some beach chairs and like a very modern-esque build. But no matter what I tried, I couldn't really get the modern look in, and which is, I think, and this is the way you can't trick the system with the geometry of the pieces, because at the end of the day they still have this very rusty texture to it, and the texture is what makes or breaks it. And for a modern build, I would need like have a very nice plaster wall, you know, just a plain white plaster wall, but it's almost impossible to get that done. I mean, I'm like saying that, and potentially tomorrow I'm just like opening Reddit and the first thing I'm gonna see is a modern build in this game, but whatever. I would actually be happy to get a new kind of texture that is pretty modern. And yeah, but as I personally didn't manage to, well, go for it, I decided then to go for a different art style that I at least haven't seen so far. That doesn't mean that there isn't anyone else who has done this, but you know, I was like, okay, I've seen Sylph going for that crazy mosque build, and I've seen someone building Riverdale, and I've seen other people going for crazy builds, very gothic styled, or like this whole medieval city, which is absurdly crazy, that I've seen on Reddit as well. You know, they all go into this medieval style, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to go for something Italian, like southern, or maybe actually it's more northern Italian style, or Toscana style, you know, having that kind of a bit of a farm, which, you know, ironically could be modern anyways, even though it's not like modern from its style. But with all the tricks that are available to the game, and you've just seen how I painted like the pathway around the lowered roof, and all of a sudden it becomes like a little platform, and I was trying to go for a visual appeal that kind of works nicely enough. And also, funny enough, like if you use these fences without a pathway beneath them, you can't really put them up high enough, but as soon as you have pathway beneath them, you can actually raise them up quite nicely. And so I was going to make like this kind of pergola kind of style. I'm not sure if that's the same English word, but like you've all these like Mediterranean terrace styles, like where you have these wooden beams go across, and normally some vines would be you know, growing there, and like I don't have them over here, but it's like kind of a bit of a pain cutting those pieces on the right position, as you will see over here. I just like try to do that, but the game just drove me nuts in a way. But at the end of the day, it just kind of worked out nicely. I forgot to paint the path here and there. which is kind of nice. One thing I need to talk about, because this was something that I figured happened, which I hope wasn't going to happen. The problem with these things that people exploit is, and I mean, this is just a me problem. It's not a general problem, but it's a me problem. Seeing what other people are capable of kind of drives my inner will to challenge myself as well, to go for it and make something equally nice looking, because as I know that the tools are available to do that, I'm gonna use these techniques. And what I end up with is obviously playing this for a lot longer than I wish to. It's not like that I have amazingly much time at hand, and especially, well, becoming a second time dad soon, there's a lot of other stuff I had to do. Now, this build over here took me in total like almost 2 hours to get done, and I'm not sure if that's the baseline of the game. You know what I mean? It's not like, is this really the idea of the game? And the main issue I had is that I don't have the copy paste option, and I think this may actually be one of the most requested changes, at least from me, for the future. Like, as soon as you've got a structure that you will need and want to use more often, just have the option to copy paste it would be ridiculous, because that way you'd be able to just quickly move on. It would just really up the process quite a bit. And honestly, also, like, I mean, it's my fault, you know. I could have just done this a lot more easy and simple. And the Hogsmeade build, for example, took me like approximately maybe an hour or so. But there are a lot of tricks in there in this build specifically that I haven't used with the Hogsmeade one. And you can see I was also trying to in the middle just to see how it all looks. And I think also a big part of what this game, like this whole build is about, is the perspective, like the whole look of it from the one perspective I was building it. And at some point I figured I need this kind of backyard where potentially you would have like this little garden, and you have that little pool in the middle. As you've seen there, like this little tiny pool that you have between the houses. I thought that could be one of these areas where you can have a little swim if you want to, because that, you know, that pool in front of the house is more likely like it's like a little lake where you wouldn't necessarily go swimming. And then just kind of make a little farm over here where some tomatoes would be growing or some other plants. And I was like using some of the bushes here to do something implied. And so just to give the whole thing a bit of context, you know, I feel this really works very nicely. And as I figured that this roof pattern, once you go for the timber style of the wall texture, you get this very nice gabled style of these roofs, which I found fitted better. But then I needed to have like a bit more of a cleaner style to the front. So I brought in another one. And yeah, well, eventually we'll go here to the right hand side and change this building. As I said, I was testing certain tiles and I wanted to have like an overhang modern building. Like, you know, the idea was to have like the pool beneath it and then just like a very modern build. But I just figured I couldn't get it done, at least not in the way I wanted it to be done. And so I went straight into the Italian style, Toscana style build, which I do adore. As you know, building for over a year in Zoo, Sicily, that was obviously a style that I felt very comfortable with, and I still do feel very comfortable with. Funnily enough, I've never been there. Like, I've been to a lot of places in Europe, but I've never been to Toscana, and that is, well, really, like, or just in general, Italy is almost like a complete blank space for me, which I definitely have to go. Like, this is definitely something I have to, it's an area of the world I need to go. I've been to Ischia, so like that island in like near Napoli. But that is all I've ever been to in Italy, and which really feels like a blank space I have to fill at some point. So yeah, all my knowledge, all my, well, I don't know, perception of it is from images and researching for Zoo Sicily, which helped a lot, frankly. But it's not like that I've been there, and this is always like the same with Yosemite. It's, for me personally, it's always more interesting to build something that is connected to areas that I haven't been to. Simply because that maybe is that kind of desire to go there eventually and then have like a look how that looks. But yeah, so this is why I built this, and I am very happy with how it turned out. I could have gone on for more, but I think I fulfilled what I wanted to achieve here. And this is like a believable Italian villa that could eventually even exist like this. And even my wife will be happy because we were just like watching Emily in Paris on Netflix. I just like to watch that with her, like just like easy easy content, you know what I mean? And, you know, as they're in Italy right now, I don't know, she was like, oh yeah, I recognize that. So I don't know, maybe that's just like a little nice touch to it. Anyways, putting in a last little building here, and then you can see this is the final look. I also do have a bit of a time lapse now where we can see the change of day and night like a little bit. This game is so beautiful, isn't it? I really can lose myself in it. It's such a nice little diorama. But yeah, let me know what you think about this game, this build. Do you think it's a believable Italian kind of villa that, you know, could even exist like this in the actual time? I mean, yeah. And what would be your biggest wish for this game? Anyways, if in case you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so. Help me reach that 100k. And yeah, just have a wonderful day. Just enjoy yourself, have some good times, and I talk to you in the next one.